Hi, welcome back to Dad Knows. So, we're going to be doing a series on turning points of history. So, today we're going to talk about the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. You may be wondering, what's the Battle of the Milvian Bridge? Well, I'm about to tell you. First, a little background on it though. So, in 286 AD, the Roman Empire had split into a system of rule called a tetrarchy. They had an emperor and kind of a junior emperor in the east, and an emperor and a junior emperor in the west, right? That was under Diocletian and kind of set that up. So that system worked for about 15 or 20 years. Unfortunately, Diocletian and Maximian had stepped away, and the guys that had come in behind them, there had been an unexpected death in 306, and that launched kind of another succession over who was going to run the Western Empire. So Constantine was the guy that died. His son Constantine was going to, some people said he should rule. The older emperor Maximian's son Maxentius, some people said he should rule. So that led to this whole conflict. So today we're going to bring in Constantine to talk about the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. So without any further ado, let's bring him in. Oh, hey! Oh, you don't need that shield here. You can put the shield away. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. Constantine?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So glad you're here. So we're going to talk about first this battle that you just won at Milvian Bridge, and this was in 312 AD, right?
Yes.
Well, is that the same series of dates y'all used? Probably not. I should tell you, we used 312. Anyway, okay. So Constantine, who did you defeat in this battle?
Maxentius.
Maxentius. Okay, and so you guys were kind of fighting over who was going to rule.
Yep.
That was right. Okay, so where were you before the battle? Where had you come from?
I'd come from the west.
The west. So you were in control of what, like modern day
Britain, a little bit of France.
part of Spain?
Yep.
So you had a kind of a big chunk, a lot of troops and a lot of power. Did Maxentius have a lot of troops and power?
Sorta. He was in Rome.
He was in Rome. So he actually had like Italy. He was in Italy, but did he really have that many army guys?
No.
No, I don't think so. Okay. So you were coming in there, and he was, what? Was he ready to come out and fight you? Was he all super happy that you were coming?
No. He
No.
destroyed all the bridges to try to not fight me.
He cut all the bridges to try to not fight you? Okay. All right.
A coward.
A little bit of a coward. Okay. So he cut all those bridges to not fight you. And then, so you came across there. I think you conquered a lot of like kind of northern Italy. And then you were headed straight down to Rome where he was hanging out. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So what happened? Tell me about the events of October 27th and 28th or so of 312. So you were coming up on the Tiber River, right?
Yes.
And he came out to meet you. Why did he come out to meet you?
He read this thing in a book of prophecies that said an enemy of Rome would die today.
Wow. So on October 28th, he had read this thing. It's actually the Sibylline books, right? That said an enemy of Rome was going to die today. Oh, that's our sign for an interesting fact that we have to share about Roman times. So real quick, I know you're like, what's going on here? So what was one of the ways that y'all paid your soldiers back then?
With salt.
You paid them with salt?
Yep, it was pretty valuable then.
So, okay, yeah, salt was a valuable commodity in the ancient world. You could trade with it. You could preserve food with it. There was all sorts of good. You needed it to stay alive, so salt was good for that. What did you call this payment?
Salarium.
You called it the salarium. Really? Did you know that we have a modern day term for people's pay that's called salary here?
That's interesting. You guys are kind of complicated.
We are copying. It's 2,000 years later. We still call things salary. We even say somebody's not worth their salt if they're not worth their pay. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Okay, so he came out to meet you though because he read this book of prophecy that was going to say that he was going to defeat an enemy of Rome. But what had happened with you? You had
a vision or dream. Some two historians said different things. I don't want to discredit either of them and say they were wrong, so I'm not going to say which one it was.
Right. That was Eusebius and Lactantius, right? So they're both good guys, so we're not going to discredit either one here. One said vision, one said a dream. And what was that vision?
It was a symbol of the Pyrex right here, and it said, "In this symbol you shall conquer."
Right. So the Chi-Rho, those are the first two letters in the Greek alphabet of the name Christ, right? So you did that. You came down there, and he came out to fight you. How did they get across the river though? They'd already destroyed the bridge.
They made a pontoon bridge, like a bunch of rafts across.
Okay, so they crossed over the river on the pontoon bridge, and then they fought you, and what happened?
Well, I annihilated them, and they had to retreat, and then the boat all sunk, collapsed, and they drowned.
They drowned, including Maxentius, did he drown as well? Okay, so Maxentius drowned. That was the end of the battle. You're now the de facto emperor of the Western Empire. So you then marched on into Rome. How did the Romans receive you?
They treated me like a conquering hero.
Like a conquering hero. Gave you a military triumph, right? You marched through. But you did one thing different did you do that normally people would do at the end of a triumph?
I did not do a sacrifice in the temple of Jupiter.
You didn't make a sacrifice. Well, why not?
Because I converted to Christianity.
You converted to Christianity. That is interesting. And now you know, like you may not know this, but we know a ton about you in our history, and you're very, very, very famous.
Well, I am awesome.
You are awesome. That is true. But so we know there's even a city that was named after you that endured for a long, long time. You even changed the name. It still exists today. The name has changed, but it was called Constantinople forever. Anyway, I think that's it for you today. Unless I know you're busy, you got to get back there and do a lot of stuff. Are you good? You got anything else to say? Nope. All right, cool. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to send you back now. Okay. All right, that was awesome. Truly honored and amazing to meet Constantine. So now we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to wrap up. Hi, have you destroyed a bridge, but now realize you got to get across that same river? Well, Publius's Pontoon Bridges has your answer. We've been building pontoon bridges all across the Italian provinces for years. We can build one right across the river real quick. You can march your army over there, super safe. It will take care of everything. There won't be any problems with Publius's Pontoon Bridges. Call us at XIXXLMCCIXCCII.
Hasty retreats across overloaded pontoon bridges may cause them to collapse, possibly leading to the drowning of large numbers of troops, including claimants to the imperial throne. Publius's Pontoon Bridges, LLC, is not liable for any mayhem resulting from such retreats.
All right, thank you to our sponsor, Publius's Pontoon Bridges, although I don't know if I can give them a ringing endorsement based on what happened at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. Anyway, we said this was a series on turning points in history. So why in 312 AD was the Battle of the Milvian Bridge a turning point in history? Well, Constantine is now victorious. He's had the experience of under this sign I will rule or conquer. He then goes on to convert to Christianity, right? So because of that, the next year in 313, he's going to issue the Edict of Milan, which is going to make Christianity a legal religion within the Roman Empire. Prior to this, they were under a lot of persecution. We've all heard a lot about that, in historical studies. So anyway, he makes it the legal religion of the Roman Empire. A little while later on, he's going to make it the most favored religion of the Roman Empire. And then about 70 years later, one of his successors, Theodosius I, is going to make Christianity the only legal religion of the Roman Empire. So considering the impact that the Roman Empire had on the world, and how much control and how much territory they ruled, that was a big deal. And that is kind of one of the main things that led to Christianity being the dominant religion of the Western Hemisphere for 2,000 years. Anyway, that's all we have today for Dad Knows. If you liked it, share it with your friends, like it, share it around. If you didn't like it, well, there's nothing I can do for you.